Alright, my name is Kelsey and today is April 8th, 2014. This is an oral history project for Communication Skills 110 at Malone University with Professor Red. My partner for this project is Thomas Watt, and this is my interviewee. Now, what's your name and how do you spell it?
My name is Allison, and it's spelled Allison.
And what's your last name?
Mercado. Do I have to spell that too?
No, it's okay. Alright, Allie, how old are you?
I am 19.
19, and when's your birthday?
It's January 14th, 1995.
Alright, do you want to tell us a little bit about where you were born?
I was born in Woodland Hills, California.
Are you originally from there? Do you still live there?
I don't. I moved. Well, I didn't move. My family lived in Sun Valley, California until I was about 8, and then we moved to Palmdale, California and then I've been there ever since.
And do you live with both your parents?
I do.
And what are your parents' names?
My dad is named Oscar, and my mom is Lorraine.
And where are they both from?
My dad is from Mexico City, Mexico, and my mom is from Mexicali, Mexico.
Okay. And what do your parents do for a living?
Actually, my parents have been unemployed for the past year. So as of right now, my dad has a temporary job working in a warehouse, so it's not a stable job, and my mom is actually unemployed.
Okay. Now, how did your parents meet? And if you remember, when did they meet?
My dad came to the United States around the age of 17, 18. His original plan was to just come to the United States, find a job, earn some money, and then eventually go back home to Mexico. And my mom moved from Mexicali to Sun Valley around the age of 4. She was a young girl. And when my dad crossed the border, his only connection, family connection, was my aunt who lived in Sun Valley, and coincidentally happened to be the same apartment my mom was living in. So when he made it there, his cousins, who were good friends with my mom, ended up introducing themselves, and one thing led to another.
So when did they get married, or how long did they date before they got married?
I couldn't tell you how long they dated. That I actually don't know. They got married March 18th, 1995.
And then what year were you born?
1995.
Okay. And do you have any siblings?
I have 2. I have an older brother, Michael, who is 24, and a younger sister, Erica, who is 15.
Okay, and do you get along with them pretty well? Are you close?
I do. I actually get along a lot better with my brother than I do with my sister. I guess it just has to go along with the whole, what's it called? We're just closer in age than my sister and I are, and my sister's just kind of at that age where she's really annoying and we don't get along. So.
Does your sister look up to you? Does she try to do the same things you do?
She does, and it's actually quite inspirational and motivational. She actually does tell me a lot of the time.
And do you look up to your brother? Do you take after him in some points?
My brother and I actually have different kind of personalities and interests in the things that we would prefer to be doing in life. So actually I don't.
Okay, so what keeps them busy? Is your brother in school? Does he have a job?
My brother is enrolled part-time at Antelope Valley College. It's a JC where I live, and he actually works full-time. So that's what keeps him busy. And my sister, she plays softball as well. She's actually on the varsity team this year for the high school, and she's also participating in travel softball. This is her first year. So school and softball really did keep her busy.
All right, now to switch things up from your family, what kind of religion are you?
I am Catholic.
You're Catholic? Are your parents Catholic? Did you grow up?
They are.
Were they raised Catholic?
Yes. They're both actually from very religious families. My grandparents, my dad's parents are actually quite religious, and so are my mom's.
Okay. And then so, like you said, religion has been a big part of your life.
Growing up, it wasn't.
Growing up,
As much as it was a part of my parents, they didn't really force it upon us.
So what is it like now for you?
It's really different. I've never been in an environment that has so much religion, so many people that are Christian, so many people that are atheists. It's just different to be around people that, their beliefs are, different.
Okay. And this might be a personal question, you don't have to answer it, but do you have a faith story?
Coming into Malone, I considered myself a non-active Catholic. I actually believed in God, I believed in faith and hope and miracles, but I really didn't think that that's all. I didn't really think that there was anything that needed to be added to that. I thought that was it. And actually coming into Malone, I actually changed my perspective. I got some new friends, and I actually met a good friend of mine, Devin Blakely, who actually changed my perspective on religion completely. And it was just amazing because everything he told me about it, I wanted to learn more. And I just really now, my faith is that I want to get to learn about God. I want to actually try and form a relationship with him. I really want to read the Bible and read in between the lines and understand what he was actually trying to say, and just,
Mm-hmm. Now, do you ever have conversations about your religion and faith with your parents and other family members?
I do, and they're very supportive of it. They think it's absolutely fantastic that I'm absolutely trying to find myself and that I'm growing spiritually.
Awesome. Now to switch gears again, we're going to go to high school. What high school did you attend?
I attended William J. Pete Knight High School.
And how far is that from where you live in California?
Driving-wise, I would say about 5 minutes.
Okay. Now, were you ever in high school with your brother or your sister?
No.
At the same time?
I was in high school with my sister for about a year. She was a freshman when I was a senior, and my brother and I are 5 years apart, so I never really got to experience high school with him.
All right. So if you could say your favorite thing about high school, what would that be?
Honestly, don't think I have a favorite part of high school. Probably only softball, playing varsity softball for the school. I don't really have too many fantastic memories in high school.
All right, so then what would you say was your least favorite part about high school?
Figuring out the kind of people that I can trust in my life, and the kind of people that I really needed to be associated with, and the kind of people that I really needed to push out of my life.
And do you still keep in contact with your friends from high school today?
I left high school with 2 best friends, and I actually only talk to one of them now.
And did you play softball with any of them?
One. Her name is Tori.
Okay. Now, what or who inspired you to play softball?
Nobody inspired me to play softball. I actually started off playing t-ball. My dad actually tried to get all of us to play soccer because that was his favorite thing to do. It's his favorite sport of all time, and that never stuck. So he enrolled all of us in a t-ball, little league ball, and I stopped playing, and then I found a flyer in my 6th grade year, and it was to play softball, and I told my dad that I really wanted to try it out, and he told me as long as I stuck with it and didn't quit, I could do it. So that's how that actually got started.
Awesome. Now, have you always played the same position?
No. My first year, I started off playing right field, and I moved into third base, and then I got shifted over to first base. And I actually tried playing shortstop one time. That was a horrible mistake, and so was second base, so I just kind of stuck with the corners.
So you play first base now, correct?
I do.
And did you always know that you were going to continue to play softball in college?
I hope so. I kind of always had this dream about playing college softball, but I just never really had the academics to do so. So now that I'm here, it's actually pretty great.
Yeah. Now, besides Malone, what was your number one choice of schools?
I wanted to go to San Francisco State.
Were you planning on playing softball there?
I did. I had attended a camp my senior year, so we had drove up, saw the campus, took a tour of the city, participated in the camp, but it just never really worked out.
So was Malone your second choice?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you come to finding Malone?
My travel team does a lot of showcase tournaments where it involves us traveling to a lot of states. And the showcase I was found in was in Las Vegas, Nevada. The head coach at the time traveled down to Las Vegas as well, and that's where she found me, and we kind of just kept in contact.
Awesome. And now I know you play with a couple of teammates from California as well. Did you know any of them before you moved to Ohio to play for Malone?
I only knew Lauren Searcy. She was actually my teammate for about 3 years when she made transitions into different travel ball teams, and lucky me, she was recruited with me.
And you guys are still friends today?
We are.
Now, what would you say is your favorite part about softball, whether it's emotionally or physically?
Emotionally, softball takes me away from reality. It takes me away from any struggles that I feel like I'm dealing with, whether it be school, whether it be with homesickness or friends. And I could just let everything go and just play the game. And physically, definitely a fan of just the feeling it gives you, the feeling of hearing the ball hit off the sweet spot of the bat, or whether it be turning a double play or just hitting your first college home run.
And when did you hit your first college home run?
April 1st.
And who was it against?
Walsh.
Walsh. And that's our rival, correct?
Yeah.
That is awesome. Now, you want to tell us a little bit about your proudest moment of softball? It doesn't have to be college softball. It can be last year, whenever you started playing. Just your proudest moment.
Proudest moment would definitely have to be signing my national letter of intent to play NCAA ball. I think that was absolutely amazing.
And your parents had your back 100%.
They did.
That's awesome. Now, to get off softball topic a little bit, what is your major here at Malone?
I actually just switched it to social work.
And what was your original?
Exercise science.
And you want to tell us why you switched?
At first, before I came to college, I had my heart set on majoring in psychology, but my motive for that kind of drifted and I didn't want to do that anymore. And then somehow in the summer, I felt like exercise science was what I wanted to do. And my first semester here, it was going great. That's what I wanted to do. I took my classes and I enjoyed them so much, and I told myself, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to pursue. And coming back to this semester wasn't what I wanted to do. I lost my motivation for the classes, and I just didn't enjoy it as much as I did my first semester. And I kind of had this feeling of feeling lost and confused about what I wanted to do with my life, because I had no idea what I wanted to do with it anymore. And so I called my mom, and she was a little worried about it as well, because she told me she was confused. She told me that I sounded insecure and I sounded ignorant, because I had pretty much had her and my dad convinced of what I wanted to do with my life. And when I told her that it's not what I wanted to do anymore, she was concerned. And I called the Center for Student Success, and they scheduled an appointment with me, asked me a few questions. And after asking around and telling people what I actually wanted to do when I knew I found a job, they had told me that social work was what I needed to be majoring in. And so I came to that conclusion, and I did that.
Now, with social work, have you thought about what exactly you want to do with that after you graduate?
It's kind of hard to explain. Yes and no. I'm still kind of confused of what I want to do with that. I know I want to help people, so I know there's the option of even working at a juvenile facility. So hopefully maybe I can kind of influence these kids to help make them make the right decisions in life.
Now, after college, do you think you'll move back to California, or move to different states, stay in Ohio? Have you thought about that much?
I'm kind of unsure about that one. I actually really like it out here. So I don't know. As much as I love California, I kind of like it out here too. So we'll see what happens in 3 years.
Now, what's different between California and Ohio? Like, what have you noticed?
The weather.
What's different? The weather.
The weather. It's absolutely bipolar. California is a lot warmer. Weathers aren't as bad. I don't see a lot of snow, though. Where I live, I do get snow if it gets cold enough, but not this much. And the people are a lot nicer. They smile at you more. Yeah.
Okay.
They smile at you more, and they're really kind, and people in California are really mean.
So in California, what do you usually do there to keep you entertained? Like, whether it's like family stuff, hang out with friends, like, is there a certain place you guys go to all the time?
Where I live, it's a little smaller suburb of LA. So one of the most popular things to do would be to go to the mall, go to the movies, go to Mulligan's. It's kind of like a little family fun center where they have arcade games, mini golf, go-karts, and water boats where you can like bump into other people and shoot them with water, and laser tag. So that's pretty popular.
Yeah, sounds fun. So culturally, from California to Ohio, what's the difference there?
I'm definitely a minority.
Minority?
I
Why
am.
is that?
There's a lot of white people here. Where I live, you see them, but you don't see them everywhere. As to where in California, you see Hispanics at every corner. You hear people talking Spanish all the time. And here you really only hear English.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So, when you moved from California to Ohio, what was it like traveling from there with that transition ahead of you?
It was pretty terrifying. I've never been away from my family for so long, and if it was only, I think the longest I've been away from them was about a week. So realizing that I was going to be without my parents for 4 or 5 months is actually really terrifying.
Now, you want to tell us a little bit about the day of the move, like what played out on there, what you did with your family?
It was actually my dad's birthday, and we had a party for him. We had a going away party for me, and it was very upsetting. It kind of hit me. As excited as I was, it hit me that I wasn't going to be home anymore. That was my last time there, and I was scared and I was nervous. My heart was beating so much, like it wanted to pop out of my chest. And when I got here, as excited as I was to be here, I was still really nervous. I didn't want to see my parents leave. I didn't want them to get back on the plane without me. And then orientation came around, and I actually started meeting the people who lived on my floor. I met my suite mate, and I actually got along with her really well. And I started talking to more people, and I noticed that I was going to make good friends here, so I wasn't as nervous as I was when I landed. And so the day they left, I didn't cry as much as I thought I would, just because I knew I was going to be okay. I was going to make great friends, and that ended up being a lot better than I hoped it would have.
Now, besides missing your family and not being with them every day, what's the hardest thing about being in a different state?
I just don't get to see them. And along with softball, I've gone to having my parents and my little sister at all of my games to being at none. And it's definitely really hard because I was so used to hearing my mom screaming at me from the stands. I was so used to seeing them in the outfield hiding under an umbrella to stay out of the sun. I was so used to seeing my little sister running around with her friends. And I don't see that anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's hard because, like I said, I went from seeing them at all of my games to them being my number one supporters to not being at a single one.
Now, what would you say is the best thing about living in a different state?
The experience, it's definitely given me the opportunity to actually try and take care of myself, to be responsible and handle things in an adult manner.
Absolutely. And do you keep in contact with your parents and brother and sister like on a regular basis?
I try to. My sister and I Snapchat all the time. I try and FaceTime her as often as I can. I pretty much call my mom every day. I don't really get to talk to my dad too much because of his job now, so he doesn't really have too much time, and I don't get to talk to my brother as much as I would like to, but I get to speak to him about maybe once a week.
Okay. So now, what was your family's perspective and opinions about you moving to a different state?
My dad was a little worried when I told him about Malone and that Malone was interested in me. He told me before I made my decision if I had wanted to look at a few schools closer to home. He actually wanted me to be a lot closer, and my mom was all for it. She was really excited. She knew that it was going to be a wonderful experience for me.
Now, you said you guys had a going away party before you left. Did you get any kind of advice or just anything that like family or friends shared with you before making the move across the country?
My family really just told me to enjoy it, to really experience college and to do fun things and take my studies serious, because these 4 years are going to be the best 4 years of my life, and they're also going to be the fastest 4 years of my life. So they really just told me to enjoy it. My friend actually told me before I signed my NLI to be careful before I sign it, because I was basically signing my life away.
Mm-hmm.
It was sad.
Yeah. Now, I know you went home for Christmas and New Year's back to California. You want to tell us about you traveling from Ohio to California and your emotions and how that was like?
I was happy. I was extremely happy to be with my family again. Time difference caught up to me. I was actually falling asleep at 8:30 at home. My dad was actually getting pretty mad at me because I was in bed by 7. So, and then that was just really fun. It was just really great to be back in an atmosphere that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm. And did you do a lot of stuff as a family when you were home?
All we did was we stayed at home. You know, we watched TV. We went out to LA a few times. We went out to go see my family, and family came up and celebrated, you know, and just stuff like that.
Now, speaking of Christmas break and New Year's, you obviously have a Hispanic background, and you're born and raised in a family with Hispanic traditions and culture. Do you have any traditions that still play a role in your family?
In Christmas, all we basically do, I know actually a lot of people do it, but in our family, when I was younger, we would always wait until midnight on December 24th, and then we would stay up, open our presents then, and then just sleep in Christmas morning. And then for New Year's, same thing, just celebrate New Year's, wait until, like, we would watch the ball drop in New York, but we wouldn't celebrate New Year's until 12 hit our time.
Now, coming back from California, how was that by traveling by yourself? Were you with like Lauren or Hannah?
No, I was by myself. It was a lot easier the second time than it was the first time, just simply because I knew the people that I was going to be coming back to. So I was just ready to be back.
Now, I understand coming back was a little tricky with flights being canceled and whatnot. Do you want to tell us what happened with that?
I had my flight scheduled to land in Chicago the Monday before school started. And when I tried to check in and fly into Chicago, they had told me that it was canceled because the weather was really bad. And so they told me that I could fly into Chicago. The flight to Chicago would land there fine. But there were no flights coming out of Chicago, and there was no way I could get on another flight to take me to Atlanta or Denver or anywhere else. So my flight actually ended up getting delayed, and I couldn't fly out until the Friday after. And so that was working out fine. Everything was fine when we checked it online. Flight was going to be there. And landed in Chicago. My flight to Akron was canceled. And it was delayed, and it was supposed to take off about 6 o'clock that night. So I stayed a few hours in the airport. And then when I was supposed to board that flight, that one got canceled last minute. And they had no exiting flights to Akron that night. So I actually had to spend the night in Chicago and fly into Cleveland the next morning.
And did you miss any school with that?
I missed 3 days.
And how frustrating was that for you?
Really frustrating because I was already behind 3 days of college, and that's kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Now, since you're almost done with your freshman year of college, did you have any personal goals set, like academically, with softball, with your own faith when you first started?
I just really wanted to keep growing in my faith, and definitely was going to try to maintain a 3.0 GPA. Actually, last semester was the first time I got a 3.2. That was actually the highest GPA I've ever gotten, and so my goal was to really maintain that coming into the semester. My goal for softball was to be a starter, and thankfully that happened as well. So.
And how's softball looking for you right now? How's the team?
Right now it's going not as planned, losing a lot more games than we had expected. And playing time it's good, it's fine. But yeah, maybe hopefully win a little more games than lose.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are you most excited about for moving back home?
I'm just really excited to be back home, to be in warm weather, to be with my family, and to just, really just spend time with them and not have to worry about anything, just getting to sleep.
Absolutely. And what are you unfortunately least excited about moving back?
My friends. I have no friends in California anymore. And yeah, I'm just really upset that all my friends are on the other side of the country, and I'll go back to my side of the country. Definitely not looking forward to that.
Now, your softball teammates, how far are they away from you in California?
A few live in San Diego. That's about a 3-hour drive from me. One of them lives in San Bernardino. It's about an hour away from me. And another one lives about an hour away, another lives about an hour 45, and Lauren actually lives about 15 minutes from me.
Oh, so that's perfect. At least you'll have one friend.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any exciting plans for the summer, whether going on vacation, having a job, playing softball?
As of right now, I know for a fact I'm going to have to look for a job. I'm going to actually have to start earning money, kind of help my family out. Hopefully, I have planned to go to a Dodger game once or twice
and you're
this
a big
summer.
Fan of the Dodgers.
Am.
So, looking back at your childhood and your family, being here, did that trigger any memories, being at college away from them? When you were younger, spending time with your dad or your mom, and softball games, them not being here, unfortunately, when you're playing?
It's just really hard. I mean, the only really thing I could think of is just softball. I remembered how I wouldn't like them just being at one game, and I remember one time my family actually surprised me in Arizona. I wasn't expecting them to show up, and they did, and I actually started crying just because they weren't going to be at a day or two of my games, and now I have to deal with them not being here for 3 months worth of games.
But you have less than a month and you'll be reunited with them, correct? Alright. Now moving along, what would you say, besides softball, what's your best experience about college? Be academically, like with your friends, like your best memories with that.
I think my best experience has to be that I have grown spiritually, that my faith has changed, and it's something that I'm really proud of.
All right. Now, since you're finishing up your freshman year, what kind of knowledge and life skills have you learned that's really important to you over this last couple semesters?
That I really need to learn how to prioritize my life, that certain things need to come first before others, and that I really just need to handle my responsibilities better.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, was there any disappointments about college, like stuff that you were looking forward to and like never really met your priority level?
Not at all.
Not at all.
I think college was what I expected it to be, even better, I think.
Now, do you get along with all your professors? Do you like the smaller classrooms?
I do. I kind of really like the fact that I can have that one-on-one with my professors. I knew for a fact when I was going to go to college, I didn't want the big classroom settings. I didn't want to be in a classroom of 400 people. So I kind of really enjoy that, and I really like the fact that I can have that connection with the professors where they really want to help you pass the class and get the grades that they know that you can get.
Absolutely. And you build that relationship with them as well. Now, since you've moved here to Ohio, what are you looking forward to about coming back next year after summer, like starting off your new fall semester? Are you excited about your classes? Are you excited about starting off softball again? What are you looking forward to with that?
Definitely looking forward to my new classes for my new major. I'm really looking forward to getting into that and start learning about that and kind of just really getting a career going.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned something to me before about an internship for social work. Now, what kind of internship do you think it's going to be?
I'm actually unsure about that. All I was told that they were going to place me in certain areas, and it was just really going to be an internship where I spend a lot of time observing what they do, and it's attached with my intro to the profession and practice of social work. So it was kind of a necessity for me to take.
Absolutely. Now, coming back towards Malone, were you surprised when Malone reached out to you that it was like a Christian school? Were you looking for a Christian school or not necessarily?
I wasn't. The fact that I hadn't known it was a Christian school at first, and with my beliefs, it just really didn't trigger. And at first, the coach didn't really talk to me. I didn't really talk to her, so I figured, okay, I know where that school is. I know about it. I'm not really going to try for it until she reached out to me about a year later. So it just kind of ended up working out at the end.
Now, I know a lot of people on campus enjoy the certain classes that are offered, being like Old Testament, New Testament, like there's some life skills classes. Have you had the opportunity to take any of those yet?
I like gen eds. I think it's really nice to have that balance between your major classes and your gen eds, so it's not overwhelming and you don't feel a burnout with the classes that you're taking right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what is a class that you really enjoyed?
I actually am really fascinated with my first aid and safety class. I think it's great, and I think it's the fact that later on I'm going to be able to help people and actually be a useful pedestrian.
Yes, absolutely. Now, what class have you not enjoyed?
I don't like my intro to fitness class. I really don't, but that just really has to do with the fact that I lost my interest and my motivation for my exercise science courses. So it's just really hard for me to actually enjoy something I don't want to do anymore.
Absolutely. Now, with like the exercise classes, did you learn a lot of anatomy or take any chemistry classes that aren't so useful now for you in your profession?
I haven't. I actually am pretty thankful that I haven't had to take any of those science courses that I didn't have to do. So I'm just really happy that I haven't spent too much time on courses for that major.
Yeah, absolutely. So, other thing with Malone, so what's something that you learned at Malone's, like things you don't like about Malone? Okay, we're gonna ignore that. What are things you don't like about Malone? Clarify that.
Some of the rules aren't that great. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the visitation rules. I'm not just not the biggest fan of visitation. I don't like the fact that I'm not able to see some of my friends because of those rules.
Okay, then what do you like about Malone?
The community. A lot of the people here are great, and we're all here for the same purposes, and it's just, this school is filled with amazing people.
And how has that impacted you, like personally and spiritually?
It's just nice to be around people that understand the things that you're going through, whether it be with school, whether it be with homesickness, whether it be the cultural differences. It's just nice to be around that kind of atmosphere.
What did you like about San Diego State?
San Francisco State.
Sorry, I knew it was one of those.
I love the Bay Area. I love the beach. I love water, the ocean. And it's actually a beautiful city. I love being around that. I just love being around it. And the fact that it was 6 hours away from home, so it was really going to give me the opportunity to stay away from home and experience what it's like to be on my own and have to plan out when I'd like to see my family, because it's still that far away. It's not a trip that I can make every weekend. So it's something that I really liked.
Now, in comparing Malone and San Francisco State, what would you say like stood out the most about both of the schools, like that fit your interests?
The area. San Francisco State was surrounded by trees, and it just felt comfortable. The atmosphere, I could feel the breeze of the water, and Malone was just in a different atmosphere. It was completely different from what I'm used to, so that really captured my attention.
Absolutely. And then back to Malone, what kind of friends have you made here? Like, where do they live? How did you meet them? Do they have the same interests as you?
I actually have met you, and you live in Kent, which is about 45 minutes away from here, and you actually have the same interests as me. I really like that, and you're just somebody that I get along with so great, so pretty happy about you. And then I have met Thomas Watt, who lives in Bolivar, about 20 minutes from here. And he's actually pretty great too. He's a great guy. There's Tyler Bowman, who lives in Canal Fulton, about 10 minutes from here.
So all your friends are pretty close.
Yeah.
Now, over the summer, do you plan on staying like in contact with them as much as you can?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Hopefully a lot of FaceTime dates, hopefully a lot of texting, phone calls. Really hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we know that people transfer like after semesters and whatnot. Now, and especially after you graduate, what are your friends planning to do? Are they planning on staying here? Are they moving on, going to a different school?
I'm not really sure. It's kind of hard to say because it really is only the first year of college. We still have another 3 years to go, and things can change, ideas can change, jobs can change. So it's just really hard to decipher what we'll all be doing in 3 years.
Absolutely. Now, next year, I understand you applied for a position here at Malone. You want to tell us about that?
I applied to be a CA. I thought being a CA would be really great. my CA last semester just really did a great job of forming a great atmosphere with a group of people that had their first year here. And she just really did a great job of bringing us together and just forming a classroom where we could say what we felt, say what we thought, and not be afraid about being judged or worry about what the other people thought about the things that we were going to say. And she just did a really great job of doing that, and I want to be able to do that for the other kids, because she just became somebody that I could text, somebody that I could call when I needed some help, when I needed some advice, when I needed somebody to talk to. And I really want to be able to be that person for the new incoming freshmen.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally understandable. Now, I know Malone offers like study abroad, service learning trips. Have you ever thought about traveling or studying abroad in a different country?
Right now it's pretty difficult because of my financial issues going on at home. I have looked at them. They really do seem interesting. They really seem like something I would like to do. But right now I'm just not in the financial state to do so.
Okay, now question about back from California to Ohio, kind of comparing it. You said you're a minority here, and how does that feel, and how does that impact you?
It's just different because it's not something I'm used to. I'm not used to being a minority. I'm used to being around people that speak the same language. I'm used to being around people that know what we're talking about when we say novelas, when we say Richie Valens, when we say Selena, just stuff like that. And it's just hard to talk about a lot of those things because it's a lot of the things that I grew up with, and it's not the same things that people in Ohio grew up with. So it's just different not being able to connect with people the way that I learned how to do at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, kind of going back to like service learning that's offered at Malone, do you think that you would, if it was offered, go back to Mexico and kind of go back into that culture for that trip, or would you think you would want to go somewhere different, like Italy, Spain, all those fun places?
I think I'd actually like to go somewhere different. I have been to Mexico a lot of times, and I would like to witness something different.
Now, in Mexico, do you still have family that live there?
I do. My dad's, basically his entire side of his family live in Mexico, except for that one aunt that actually still lives here in California. She lives about half an hour away from me.
Okay, so you did quite a bit of traveling, like younger, correct? Like to Mexico and Mexicali, correct? Now, where besides those two places would you absolutely love to travel? Like, be your number one if you could choose to go travel anywhere.
If I could travel anywhere?
Yes.
I'd go to Italy.
Go to Italy? You would go to Italy? Now why would you do that? Anything exciting?
It's different. I think the country is beautiful, and I would really just love to go see that. I would like to just witness a different culture and see what they do in their everyday lives and just really experience that.
Would you try to learn the language before?
I've actually already tried. It's kind of difficult, not too difficult because it's pretty similar to Spanish, but it's kind of hard to maintain them as different because some of the words are actually pretty similar, some of them aren't, and sometimes it's just hard because I mix the Spanish with the Italian.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, have you ever thought about missions?
I have, and I know about a group of people who go to Haiti about spring break, summer, during Christmas break, and I think the experiences that they've told me about are pretty amazing, and it's something that maybe one day I'd like to do as well.
Do you think you'd want to travel with missions with your major? Like, and do stuff in different countries?
It's definitely something that would be interesting. It's something I would definitely look into.
Yeah, absolutely. That was very interesting. So, like you said about Spanish and Italian, Are there any other languages that you might want to learn?
I really would like to be polyglot. Kind of difficult.
And what is polyglot?
Polyglot is when you can speak many different languages. I would like to actually perfect my Spanish. I would like to learn Italian, Chinese, Portuguese, just a lot of those different languages.
Yeah, absolutely. So why would you, why?
It'd just be amazing to travel and be able to communicate with those people in their native language, and it just feels like I spent time learning so I could communicate with them, so I just think it'd build a connection there.
Absolutely. Now, as we're beginning to wrap up, can I just ask for a quick summary of your first year here at Malone?
It's been a great experience. It hasn't been as terrifying as I thought. Homesickness is definitely a real thing, but it's been a great experience. I've made some great friends, I've made some great memories, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next 3 years and making more of those.
Absolutely. Now, as we know, there are people from all over the country at the school. Like you said, California, there's people from Germany, Spain, Poland, everywhere, Texas, North Carolina. Now, if you could give any advice to the incoming freshmen that are moving from across the country, what would that be? What kind of advice would you give? And especially coming from a CA point of view, since you applied for that and want to have that job and responsibility for them.
Don't be scared. As terrifying as it may seem, going to a completely different place that you're not aware of, don't be scared. It's going to be a great experience, and you're going to learn so much about yourself that in the end it'll all be worth it. It'll be worth the homesickness. It'll be worth the stress and the fears, and it'll all be worth it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Allie, for your time and your patience and just your personality for helping us out with this project. And thank you, Thomas, as well, for your help, and also thank you for listening.